I'm really excited about this. This is the Lasting Change Workshop, and this is part one. Now, before we begin with the workshop, what we do is we do a Pomodoro technique, and we're going to be together for about an hour. Sometimes it goes on a little bit longer. So, an hour is the minimum we'll be together, and for 30 minutes, I'm going to start my timer so that you know that you have 30 minutes on the clock to get stuff done. And then I'll set it again for another 30 minutes. Usually I'll set a 5-minute break in between there, but you could keep working. It's really up to you. The thing about this is that you know that there is a time that you are going to commit to get something done. You're going to set an intention. What will you do during that 30 minutes? Put it in the chat. If you're watching this on recording, which I say here, set your intention, get it in the chat. If you're watching it on a recording, email me or get it in the Facebook group. If you're a member, you could answer the Monday Q&A that you get, the Friday check-in, and say, here is my intention while I'm watching the recording of the workshop. So I'm going to set the timer right now. Let me get my little clocky thing out. Here it is. Okay, 30 minutes on the clock. Then we'll have a 5-minute break. Then we'll go 30 minutes again. So you know that you're going to be very focused, laser focused on what you intend for this 30 minutes. Okay, ready, set, go. All right. Okay, so here we go. The Lasting Change Workshop. I've learned a few things in the last few years about how to create lasting change, and even some things just yesterday that I was really excited about to learn, and I look forward to sharing with you. We're combining all of those things into this lasting workshop, and that's what it's all about. So we all know that when we want to start something new or create a change, we have to find the resources to learn what we need to learn to accomplish that change. But most of us have found that having the resources or know-how is usually not enough. Even when people pay for a gym membership or lessons, say you're paying for lessons to play the guitar, violin, or a language, they often don't show up or practice. So what's going on? I have found that belonging to a group where people are doing what we're doing is incredibly valuable and increases the likelihood in change happening. But one thing is for sure, we do have to show up and put in the work. We know that, right? We know all of that. So why sometimes don't we? Why sometimes don't we show up and put in the work? That's what this workshop will dive into. And with that insight, I have found the freedom to change. So what we will cover in the workshop: the importance of knowing yourself, human nature, something called the Dunning-Kruger effect. So that's what we're covering today. In the next session, somebody has to mute themselves, okay? I hear something in the background. In the next sessions, we'll talk about our beliefs, the comfort zone, finding out what we don't know. And I'm going to use an Al-Anon analogy, and I have a little note here for myself to look at. Marriage, alcoholism. This is just a note for me so that I remember what it is that I need to talk about in that point. Hard doesn't have to mean bad. Pick your hard, not going it alone. And then the basics: a plan, a schedule, and showing up. So these are the things that we're going to cover. Okay, so here, the about me portion of it, or the importance of knowing yourself point. This is really so important that we understand who we are. Because if we always think that we're wrong, if we always think that there's something wrong with us, if we don't understand how we tick, then every time we go to move ahead and do something and it isn't working, we feel like, well, I can't do it because it's just who I am. Doesn't work for me. But if we understand that there isn't anything wrong with us, if we understand who we are, Then when something happens, we could say, wait a minute, what do I need to know? You know, the organizationally gifted people in the world, when something isn't going right on the outside of them, they never look within. And I'm talking about with the house together, because we know that organizationally gifted people don't have it together in every area of life, you know. But when it comes to home, when it comes to getting the house cleaned up, if something isn't right there, they don't say, what's wrong with me? I can't do this. They say, what's going on in my world right now? And then they move ahead to check it out and fix it. So in this slide here, what I want to show you is that it's proof that there really is nothing wrong with us. We've just been led to believe that we're all supposed to be organized. Now, I love, love, love the picture of Mark Twain here, but the most thing that I love about it is his desk. Not him, really, because I mean, there's tons of pictures of Mark Twain, right? But they happened to take this picture of him, and I'm sure his desk had nothing to do with why they took this picture. But boy, does it help us, because this man was renowned. He was he was esteemed. He was he's down in history. I mean, when the heck was he? And he was when slavery was still around. Holy mackerel. He's been around for a long time. We all know about him. He's famous. He's successful. Look at his desk. What does that mean? It means that he managed to get through life and succeed with a messy desk. Look at Albert Einstein's desk. This is the desk. This is a picture of it the day he died. And I believe it is still like that. And there's somewhere you could see it. Same thing with Steve Jobs' office. Look at Steve Jobs' office. So look at Steve Jobs' office. So these three people, if they were us, we would be thinking, well, there's no way I could do anything. Look at my house. Look at my place. It isn't true. Einstein said that if a messy desk is a sign of a messy mind, then what's the sign? What's the sign of an empty desk? So what does that mean? It's an empty mind? There's no scientific anything behind that phrase. It just sounds good. So, and Steve Jobs, look at him. Look at the wreck his office is. We have to realize that we're okay just the way we are. And if we could figure out how we tick and how we can move ahead the way we do things, everything could change for us. So this is one thing that is necessary to know to be able to create change, to understand you, to understand us, to understand who we are specifically. Now I have the story of Pam Young and, oh goodness, the story that Pam Young told me about Katie Couric and also Oprah. And this is something that some of you have heard before, but I always love telling it, and I'm sure you like hearing it. So in the situation with Katie Couric was that she was interviewing Pam, and after the interview, Pam Young and Peggy Jones, the authors of Sidetracked Home Executives, the book that started me into order, and they were known as the Slob Sisters. So they did the interview, and after the interview was over, Katie Couric went up to them and said, I really love that so much because I am who you are. I do that too. Like, I'm just like that. And then she told them a story about borrowing a coat from somebody, and that when she gave it back, it had a chicken leg in it, because she was walking eating a chicken leg and she had nowhere to put it, so she stuck it in her pocket and she forgot to take it out. And then the Pam story about Oprah. When Pam and Peggy were doing a book tour, they were interviewed by Oprah. And this is before she was, quote, end of quote, Oprah. It was when she was in a small studio, I'm pretty sure in Chicago. And after that, she went to their hotel and she hung out with them. And she was on the bed. She said, it was so fun. We were just talking. She said, Pam told me, we had no idea who she was going to become. But she was sharing with them how so much of what they share has helped her. And that she's she completely resonates with all of that. So I think sometimes if we could just feel like we're okay and then have examples of others who are just like us and are okay, that is a huge stepping stone to be able to make a change happen. Because if we're in a position where we think we're stuck, then we're stuck there. If we are in a position where we could see, oh, wait a minute, others have done it, I could do that too. All of a sudden, everything changes for us. All of a sudden, we're able to move ahead on the next thing instead of feeling like we can't move on. So this is something that Pam Young, Peggy Jones said in one of their books. I don't remember which one. And I actually did ask Pam, what book is it in or who exactly said it? And she said to me, well, just give Peggy the credit. That's fine. So I don't really know exactly where it is, but this is what it was said. And I think it might be in Sidetracked Home Executives. We're like lightning. And let me fix that too, because I have we're like lightning. That's not right. If there's too much of that, I won't do it, but okay. We're like lightning, lots of energy, but no direction. So who's the we're? The Sidetracked Home Executives, the organizationally challenged. We're like lightning, lots of energy, but no direction. And then this part is kind of paraphrased because I couldn't find the quote and I can't remember exactly how it says, but what the gist of it is, give that energy direction and it is super powerful. So I chose this picture to go along with that phrase because it really does illustrate what that means, right? If you have that magnifying glass and you move it all over the place, it's not going to do much of anything. But if you have that magnifying glass and you hold it still, it's focused on one spot, with the sun there, of course, it's going to do some damage, right? Something is going to happen. We, organizationally gifted people, have to understand that the way we do things is without a lot of focus. If we understand this, then we can make a decision to focus, to stay focused on one thing at a time before we move on, because otherwise all it is a lot of scattered energy that gets absolutely nothing done. And I know you know what that means, and I know you know how that is. So here's another thing that's really important for you to know that will help you to succeed, being the organizationally challenged person that you are. Only 8% of people actually achieve their goals. I mean, that's just something that everybody knows. If you Google it, you'll find out. You just know that that's the facts. Only 8% of people actually achieve goals that are set. Now, this is the thing I want to ask you. Do you think that all of those that are in the 8% are organizationally gifted people? Do you think all of those that are outside of that 8% are organizationally challenged people? Of course not. Like, we all know people who are really, really super organized, right? But they are overweight. They have a goal. They want to lose weight, but they're not doing it. So that's a goal, right? What about people that organizationally gifted people that want to say change a job? Their goal is to change the job, but they never get around to making the plans to make that happen. Or they want to anything. I mean, you could just name it. How many organizationally people do you know that have all of their life fulfilled and all of their dreams come true because they're so good at everything? They're not. So everybody that is organizationally gifted is not part of that. What is it? 97. Oh, I'm so bad. 92%. It isn't. They aren't that. And now something else that you need to know is that the majority of the 8% are organizationally challenged. That's what it turns out. And the reason for that is because there are parts of who we are that is needed to be a success. people that can change and pivot, it's very necessary to be able to be focused on one thing, and then something come in and screw up that plan, and being able to abandon that and then move ahead with the next thing. This is what you have to do if you want to succeed at anything. The organizationally gifted people, they have a problem with that. It isn't so easy for them. They're much more rigid than we are. There's a lot of qualities that the organizationally challenged have that is needed to succeed. So if you know this and you can embrace it and feel good about it, it's another step to achieving a change, because you know that you do have all that it takes, and that the statistics show that most of the people that have set their goals and had them be achieved are organizationally challenged, and also that there's so many organizationally gifted people out there that don't reach their goals. So what's going on, right? Let me read what I have here on the bottom. We've been told we have a problem. They've even diagnosed it. We're just different. And if we know how we do things and stop trying to do things their way, there's no stopping us. Okay, so you are your own unique you, and exactly as you should be. All of us who have been challenged in the area of organization have many, many things in common, just like the organizationally gifted people do. When we discover how to live in a way that is suited to us best, not them, I found, as well as Pam, that nothing can stop us. So there is the first part of what we need to know to succeed and to make lasting change, is to embrace who you are, to understand who you are, and to accept who you are with absolute joy. Now we're on human nature, okay? About human nature. Figuring out why we face challenges in getting what we want needs to be addressed first. Once we know what's been going on, we can stop what has been sabotaging us all along. That way, our goals become something we achieve rather than always chasing after. Now, why does this happen? We start something completely motivated and completely confident that this time things are going to be different. We've all experienced that pink cloud of confidence, like how new relationships start, the honeymoon phase, and then life happens. It happens every time. Either we discover days later that we're either worse off than we were before, or in complete disbelief that we've ever thought that change was possible at all. One day, you're on the top of the world, feeling like a complete superhuman, and the next day, we're at our lowest low, wondering what the heck happened. Can you relate? Falling off track can look differently for everybody. Second guessing the process, feeling like a failure, wondering if you're doing the right thing, showing up and working but not seeing your progress as progress. These are things that happen, and sometimes it makes us fall off track. But the thing is that it's normal. It's normal to fall off track. This is another one of those points that we will be pressing or pushing into the bulletin board. How's that? To be like, here it is, another thing we need to know to create lasting change. And then what happens? We get distracted, our commitment falls off, and suddenly we succumb to what is known as shiny object syndrome. And we jump track to the next thing that looks like it has the answer. Or maybe we just completely forget about it. Maybe you have begun to implement a plan and new habits, but then life gets in the way. Health, family, hectic schedule, and before we know it, we're off all the success habits that we've tried and we feel like we've starting from scratch. Falling off track is normal. It's part of the process. It's not a sign of failure. Let me take a sip of water. Something I didn't say is, if you didn't have a glass of water or something to drink water in with you during this, then do that, all right? If you didn't get it yet, get it now. It's important to have water as you're moving along, okay? Okay, so I'll read this one more time. Falling off track is normal. It's part of the process. It's not a sign of failure. Best thing to do is expect it, plan for it, and know about it. Sometimes it's hormonal. Sometimes it's that life gets messy. Sometimes we need a mindset shift. We're human. Problems come with the territory. Tony Robbins said, our only problem is we think we shouldn't have any. I love that. Like these things that I'm going through, a little bit fast, I guess. Each time I heard one of them, it made me stop for a second. Like this one right here, our only problem is we think we shouldn't have any. It's huge for me. And what other one? This one. Best thing to do is to expect it, to expect problems, to expect to fall off track, to plan for falling off track, and to know about falling off track. These things are big. Our problem isn't that we keep getting derailed. It's that we shouldn't. So I'm going to talk about the Dunning-Kruger effect. Planning for derailed is like carrying a spare tire. We know that a flat is inevitable, but we don't feel like a failure if it happens. And if we end up on the side of the road having the AAA number to call or the spare to put on, it's seen as a solution, not a failure. If we are frustrated on the side of the road, it isn't because we had a flat. It's because we weren't prepared for it. You see that? Understanding the ebb and flow of starting something new and how we react and respond to everything that happens when we start something new is what will make the process a success or a predictable failure. When we find ourselves in the state of quitting, feeling like we failed, or becoming derailed, we have to see that these things are just phases, not failures. So the Dunning-Kruger effect, it explains why we start off excited, but then never actually reach the goal we were excited about reaching. Now, I'll tell you, I learned this in a course that I was taking, a group course that I was in. And when the woman taught it, it kind of blew me away, but she went through it so quickly. And I felt like, wait a minute, I like, it really took me a while to grasp. So this is basically what we're going through now. And I hope that you can receive it the way I did once I broke it up, because what happened was it was so much, and I knew that it was something that I needed to know and I needed to learn. But the way it was taught, it was so quick. It was just like a moment. I think it was just like one slide. And I went in and I dug in and I broke it apart and I looked through and I did research and I broke up the Dunning-Kruger effect so that I could understand it. And now I'm hoping that I can help you understand it. It meant a lot to me. Okay, so here we go. When we begin something new, our confidence is high. So this is explaining what goes on underneath the radar when we're beginning something new, when we're starting something that we want to do, that we're excited about. So when we begin something new, our confidence is high, but our experience and skill sets are low. And they call that the amount of stupidity, or we can call it uninformed optimism. I choose to call it uninformed. I choose to call it the amount of stupidity. It's like we think we know everything. And so there we are, all excited. So we're starting in one spot, but in reality, in our head, we're up here. We're like, this is great. I'm so excited. When we go from low to high and then realize our skills are not up to speed, our confidence goes down. See, first we're here because we're in the low portion. Our skill, experience, mindset, motivation, our lifestyle. It's in a place that, of course, we're starting something new. We don't know anything. But what happens? We go from low to high being way too excited and too optimistic, uninformed optimism. And what happens? We crash. Our confidence goes down. We realize that our skills are not up to speed. We see that we didn't know before. We see what we didn't know before and feel like a failure. And then the voices start. This is not who I am. What was I thinking? I'll never be able to do this. What will everyone say if I fail again? Or I knew this was going to happen. Okay, so here we go to the next step here. Our confidence is severely affected and is known as informed pessimism. So at one point we realize, all right, here is our starting point. Let's be at our starting point. So if you haven't gotten to, if you're at this spot and you haven't decided to quit, if you realize, all right, wait a minute, I don't know what I'm doing. Then you set off and you're like, all right, here I am. I'm done with the amount of stupidity. I know where I am. I'm moving ahead. It's all very emotional. We're chasing the good feeling, not aware that it doesn't always feel good. It's supposed to always, it isn't supposed to always feel good. And that's normal. What we want to do is chase results, not feelings. We need to know that we just have to continue to put in the work to get the results. And that brings us to the slope of enlightenment. So this is the slope of enlightenment. As we continue to move ahead, we reach new levels. Our old highs become our new lows. See that? Most people don't start the climb because they aren't aware that there is a climb. They think there shouldn't be a climb. Something must be wrong, so they quit. I mean, this is me. This is you, I'm sure too. I think this is everybody that has ever wanted to achieve something and then just felt like they couldn't. You get started, it's really hard, and we somehow feel like we can't. But that's where all of this awareness comes in. When we understand that there's a process and it's not supposed to be easy, then we can just buckle up and continue on. To succeed in reaching our goals, we need to know what is going on so we never stay at the valley of despair ever again. So sometimes we say it will be hard. Other times we say it should be easier than this. And somewhere in the middle is the truth. So here's the thing. Here's some things that are false, right? That are just totally not true. That we could think often, okay? There will be a hectic effort that destroys your life and steals your time. I do one-on-one coaching, so I have, time with people for conversation and to talk about what we're doing and the next plan and whatnot. And I can't tell you how often I hear, oh, this is going to take forever. All right, wait, just so you know, time's up. So you've been working for 30 minutes, all right? We have another 30 minutes to go. I'm going to set a timer for 5 minutes, and you'll have a 5-minute break, or you can keep going, okay? You could either keep going or you could take this 5-minute break. After the 5 minutes, I'll tell you 5 minutes is up, and then you would keep going, but still then I'll start it for 25 minutes and we'll have the full 30 minutes in, okay? So if you need to set another intention, please set another intention, put it in the chat. What are you doing when we're together? Do something when we're together. You might as well. Okay. So here are some things that are not correct, all right, or things that we think. Oh, I know what I was saying. I was saying that so often I hear people that somebody will say to me, oh, this is just going to destroy my life, or I need more time to do things. This isn't enough time for this. You know what? Let me do something real fast because I realize that, oh, I don't think this is going to work. I wanted to make it so that you could see it. Because my face is in the way, I think, right? So maybe that'll work. Let's see. Okay. All right. So there's that. This is going to be hectic effort. It's going to destroy my life. It's going to steal all of my time. It's going to be too hard. You'll never need to, you will need to compromise who you are, maybe even your values and things that matter to you to get this done. So those are things that are false, but often things that we say. What is true is that there will be effort, there will be difficulties, and there will be sacrifice. But here's the truth about that. Not forever. All right? This is something that so many people refuse to do the system, the Tidy Tutor system, in the way that it's designed because they feel like they're just going to be doing this forever. Like, oh, well, if it's taken me this long to get it done, but you're not doing it. The reason, well, I can't do it because I don't want to do this forever. I know it doesn't make any sense, but it's really true that they don't realize that it's not forever. Because when they actually do the system and they do it as planned, before you know it, it's easy. Before you know it, all of that hard work that you're doing in the beginning isn't hard work anymore because you've cleared it all away. Let's take it as an example of, say, somebody that's 300 pounds and wants to lose weight. Well, in the beginning, it's hard. In the beginning, you have to be very, very conscientious. Just doing a few exercises is very difficult because you're out of shape. And it's going to take time. And sometimes what people will say is, oh God, if it's going to be like this, I'm just forget it. I'm not going to do it. It's not going to feel like that forever. It's the work you got to put in so that you can get what you want. But it's not forever. It's for a short time. If we do it with the case of like a house that you have that's all cluttered and everything else, there's steps you have to take. And in the beginning, it's hard work, but it's not forever hard work. And the system works. So if you follow it and you do it, then the hard work only lasts for a short time. It's only in the beginning. It isn't forever. Okay. So here, now we're going to talk about the known and the unknown. Our beliefs, our perceptions, and the experience, our experiences and sense of self. Okay? So here's one thing. The known. The picture here that we have of the woman doing an exercise, or if you just imagine and think about exercise, like pretend, you're overweight, you haven't moved in a long time, your body is out of shape, and we go to the gym, and the known is that we're going to feel pain. It's not going to be easy, but we know that. And because we know that, we can persevere. We can keep going. We can do the work. And when we feel the pain, it feels good. We aren't saying, oh my God, I just hurt myself. My arms hurt. I can't do this anymore. We don't say that. We know it. This is the known part. We know it. We say, oh my goodness, my arm hurts. Oh, I can't do this anymore. What we do say is, oh wow, I was doing arm exercises and my arm is hurting so bad. Even just to lift it hurts. And we rejoice in that. We're excited about it. It makes us really glad. And that's because we understand the process. We know it. Now, our beliefs and perceptions in regard to the house and all of that, and our experience and our sense of self. All right, that was 5 minutes. So if you took a break, your 5 minute break is up. And I'm going to set the time for 25 minutes. And we're going to start now. All right, so you know, get a drink if you don't have a drink. Set a new intention if you didn't do that. Remember to check in. Okay, here we go. All right, so now the unknown, a lot of it is about getting the house cleaned up and all of that, and it's because it is outside of our what do they say? It's outside of our wheelhouse. We really don't have any real ideas about how long things take. It should be easy, that kind of thing. If we knew that it will take time, it does take time. It's not easy in the beginning. It does get easier later. Then as we're on that process, we'll be like we are if we went to the gym to work out. We'll be totally okay with it all because we understand this is the way it goes. So there's that. Now we all come with our own pack of unique backpack. Wait, let me say that again. We all come with our own unique packed backpack. We have to sacrifice the stuff in our backpack that has held us back, the beliefs and perceptions that got us where we are. Now I'm going to look at the next slide just to see something, because I don't know if I say it here, because if I don't, okay, yeah, okay. So I'm going to say this again, all right? We have to sacrifice the stuff in our backpack that has held us back, the beliefs and perceptions that got us where we are. Because if you believe, I never can, I never will, this is too hard, this should be easier, then we're setting ourselves up not to be able to succeed. So we have to really put that aside, take it out of our backpack, get it out of there. Get to the point where you're saying, okay, I'm not going to think those things anymore. Those things aren't true. There's more to it, though. We need to replace our old beliefs, our old habits, our old negative perceptions of ourselves, and things we spent time on that doesn't nurture what it is that we are going after. These are things that we need to do no matter what it is that we're going for. An organized home, decluttering, a physically fit, losing weight, learning a language, anything. Because the thing is that if it is that you want to, say, get the house cleaned up, and before you were stopping and running for everything and had no plan, and anytime somebody called, you just ran and went with it, well, you're going to have to sacrifice a little bit. You got to take some of that out of your backpack. Like you have to say, you know what? This doesn't fit in my new lifestyle. I can't just say yes to everybody every time they call me. I have to put myself first. I want the house to be in order, and I need to do work. So this is one of the things that has to come out of my backpack. Yeah, there's going to be sacrifice. But the sacrifice, first of all, isn't forever. Most of it anyway, because I'll mention some things that would be forever. Sacrifice isn't going to be forever. And it's getting you where you want to go. It's not a bad thing. It's not like you're really sacrificing. You're just changing the way you're doing things with a different perception. One thing that might be that you have, like let's say you want to stop drinking, all right? Well, one of the sacrifices or changes that you're going to have to do is not going out to bars all the time. This is a decision that's made. So we can't have it both ways, right? If we want to do something and we say, well, this is what I want to do, we're going to stick with the house cleaning, getting organized, okay? Because that's what we're here for mainly anyway. So if I want to get the house cleaned up, then there's definitely going to be some things that I'm going to have to sacrifice. And some of them might be some friends that always pull me to do things when it's not good for me and my family. They're out there. And if they're used to you jumping and running all the time, it's all right for you to say no, right? It's all right for you to decide this is not what I'm doing now. Now, down the road, when everything is cool, you will have so much more time to be able to do, and forever, by the way, to do the things that you enjoy and all of that. But in the beginning, yeah, there's going to be sacrifice. You're going to put in more time. Just like if you were going to school. I think I might have that slide for that, so I'll wait until I say that. So we need to have the right tools in our tool belt. Self-care and the right amount of fun, rest, and what matters to us most mixed in. But the things that don't serve us and won't bring us where we want to go need to be let go of. And we need to be all right with it because we know we have a plan and this is what will get us there. We also have to know that there will be ups and downs. But as we go, we will be moved further and further as we master our new habits and new mindset and approach our new way of seeing things and proceeding. So whatever it is that you're going for, whatever it is that you're doing, as you move ahead, you're going to be encouraged. But you have to continue to move ahead to be encouraged. And you also have to realize that there will be ups and downs. So here's something really important. Understanding how muscle works. We know that just because we're confident and positive that this time things are going to change, we know that we can't walk into the gym and add crazy weight to a machine on day one. We know that we need to build up to it. And it happens with consistency, a little pain, and knowing that if we keep going, we'll see results. And this is what we have to realize. It's one of the other very important things to allowing change to happen for us, is that we have to understand that it does not happen in a bam. And you're not going to get the house cleaned up in one day. And it's okay to start slow. And then we really do need to rejoice with it and be happy, understanding the known and the unknown. Remember that? If we understand that the known part of it now, which is it takes time, it's okay. I have a plan. It'll be all right. Yeah, I got this much done. It's not a heck of a lot, but it's what the situation is. We could be happy and move ahead instead of feeling like we have to quit. That is why we so often crash and fall off track. When we expect to do too much at the start, when we expect to do things perfectly or better than is realistic, we fall into the valley of despair, we fall into the valley of despair thinking we think we'll never make it out, and we think that we might as well quit. We're simply in a place we've never been before. It's an unrecognized place. We're outside of our comfort zone. That's all there is to it. The challenges are not setbacks. They're normal. We're still moving forward, even if it doesn't look like it. We're making progress. If you're doing something, then something is happening. So when you're at the Mount of Stupidity and you realize that you shouldn't be there and you start moving ahead and you're like, all right, here I'm going to go. There's ups and downs. It isn't a straight road. It takes effort and growth and energy to climb the initial hill. And since life is what it is, we need to expect that we're going to fall down. But we're still on the track. You see? You know, sometimes when you fall down, you think, oh my God, I screwed up. That's it. No, it's normal. It's normal to fall down. All you got to do is get up. All you have to do is get up and do it again. That's all. You're still on the track. The ups and downs are part of the track. It's the process of growth. What we're not seeing is that in the stretching and growing, wait a minute. What we're not seeing is that in the stretching and growing, changed something within ourselves. It happens very gradually, though. And since it happens so gradually, we don't notice it. That's why it's important to take pictures. It's important to journal so that you can remember where you were. Because as you move ahead and things start to get better, we forget how bad they were. And then we think, oh my God, I'm not making any progress. We're in another space when we make progress. And then we think that we didn't make any. So it's important to know that we're in a different place than we were before. Each time we crash, we're a little bit different. So when we get started, let's pretend that you're this person, the first person on the top of the hill. I don't know if you can see my cursor. You can't. The first person that they started out and then they're going up. If they fell down right there, you see how it says there, we have a new baseline, because now you're in another place. You've been working on it a little bit. You've been working on it. You're in a little different place. Now you start going ahead and you fall. When you fall, you're in a different place than you were before. And it's a good idea to take note of that, to know that, all right, so I fell down, but I'm further ahead than I was before. I'm getting up, I'm moving again. We keep moving up, we have a new baseline, then we crash again, and then we have a new baseline. This is the way it goes. And later we're going to find out that it does get easier. It's not a forever crash and burn, get up, crash and burn, get up. And in reality, if you do it where you understand the process, there is no burn. It's just crash. It's crash, get up, crash, get up. The crash and burn happens when we stay there, when we think, oh no, when we don't understand this process and we think that there's something wrong with us, why can't I do this? And we don't realize that it's normal. That's when the burn happens. But the crashing part, how could we expect to do everything perfect? Why should we? Is there anything else in the world that we ever do that we think we should be perfect at? Why should we think we should be perfect at this, or anything else that we think we should be perfect at, or that we should never make a mistake at while we're working on it? We're still on track because the ups and downs are part of the track. And here is where we will eventually end up on the slope of enlightenment. Pretty soon our crashes are shorter and fewer and not so drastic. And then each time we stretch a little bit to a different place than we were before. Future lows will be higher than your current highs. This is the cycle of growth. And if we know that it is a process, we put the pieces in place, whatever it is that we want to do, we put the pieces in place to do it. And then as we move ahead, when we feel like we don't want to do it anymore, and we say, I know this is the way it feels, that's okay. When we feel like we're not doing well, we can say, all right, I understand. This is the way it feels. When we just crash that day and we're like, oh, I don't want to do anything. Oh, I know, this is the way it is. Just what's the plan? Stick to the plan. This is what happens every single time. This is an absolute. This is 100%. This is without fail. If you continue, you can't lose. So now, next time, this is what we're going to talk about next time. The comfort zone, finding out what we don't know. Hard doesn't have to mean bad. Pick your hard, and we're not going to go it alone. So these are the things that we're going to discuss, and I'd like to know if you have any questions. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And we have 10 minutes left in our 30 minutes. I'd like to know what you thought about it. If you have any questions, you can unmute yourself. You can type it in, however you want to do it.
I have a question.
Of course.
So Kathy, I'm going to sit down so I'm not moving. Um, so the mountain you showed, and you were talking about. Oh, so you're doing really good. Like I was keeping my dishes done every day, working hard at it, and then I don't know what happened to me. And then I just couldn't stand to be in the kitchen anymore because it was such a mess. And every time I tried to go in there to do it, I didn't last 5 minutes and would go running back out of there. So you think I mean, why couldn't I just keep it going?
Well, this is the reason is, but one of the things that I said in the very beginning was that we all know that there are things that we need to know to make things happen. And there, like, it doesn't just, here, wait, you know what I'm going to do? Let me share this, because this is, let me share screen. Okay, Keynote, good. Oh, I must have closed it out. Let me get it. Here it is. Okay, so let me find this one, because there's, like, let's say you had a plan to, I don't know why I can't stick with the whole organizing thing, but it just seems like somehow, maybe it's because the known, as far as the we know about losing weight, we know what it takes, and sometimes somehow the keeping the house clean just feels like it should be easy. But here, this is one thing I want to show you. There's some things that we need to do so that things actually work, whatever it is. Like, these are just some steps. When we have a goal and we want to set it and we want to do it, say in your case, keeping the kitchen clean, keeping the dishes done. So here's just some steps. Create a target to hit, be clear on what target you want, bring proactive planning for success, see the big picture, bite size it, write it down, write the goal down every day, make a decision to do the work, set up a plan to learn something that you need to learn, set up a schedule to do the work, show up, seek support, don't do it alone. So these are just some things that, let me stop the share. Those are just some things that have to happen. Like, somehow we think that we can just say, I want something, I want to do this. Like, whatever, like, just say, I want to keep the dishes done, without any kind of plan to make sure that you're doing them. Like, do you have a plan in place that is non-negotiable? Like, wiping your butt is non-negotiable. Do you have a plan in place that is right after, do it now? As soon as I use the dish, I wash them. Before I go to bed, I wash the dishes. This is what I do. Like, we need to show up and do what it is we plan on doing, but the plan is the huge part of it. When we start something, it takes time for that thing to take hold. If we don't keep with it long enough, what happens is what's happening to you. This is what happens to everybody, no matter what they're doing or what they're planning or what they're going for. There's certain things that have to be in place, and one of those things is consistency. You have to push. Now, what you do is, like, say you said to yourself that day, and I heard it in what you said. You said one day, you said, and then I don't do it, and then I don't want to go in that room. That's the crash and burn. Don't you see it? That the crash was when you didn't do the dishes. That was the crash. All right. Oh, yeah. I'm not going to be perfect. But we have to be consistent enough so that when we're playing that guitar and we're going for the G chord, now when we strum it, it's a perfect sound. Now, why? Because every day we played that chord. Every day we practiced the guitar. In the beginning, we practiced the guitar. It sounds like shit for a long time. It sounds like you can't, if somebody wanted to guess the chord, they couldn't. It sounds lousy. But what happens when you hit the chord wrong? You just keep hitting the chord. But if you think that I'm supposed to get this right, and then we put the guitar down, we ignore it for a while. And same thing with the kitchen. We walk away from the dishes. Now it's a domino effect. Now the room starts to be a mess. Now more things happen. Now I'm totally avoiding that. Do you think if I walked away from the guitar for a week or 2 weeks, I'd be much better off than I won't be. We need to be consistent. And that's what you need to do. You need to recognize that things are hard, that they're not going to be easy, that, okay, this is what I have to do. Because I'm telling you what, after a little while of continuing, you have to continue. After a little while of continuing, it'll be second nature. It'll hurt to walk away from the dishes. You won't be able to, but you haven't allowed yourself to get to that place. Crash and burn happen.
Thank you. That makes sense.
And there are certain things that, like I said, there's some things that we need to learn. Like if I wanted to get organized, wait, am I still sharing screen? No, right? No. Okay. When I wanted to lose weight, I didn't just make a decision, or I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to eat less. I actually sought out a specific plan. There's lots of plans, you want to choose the one you want. There's paleo, there's macros, there's Weight Watchers, there's all kinds of plans. But I wasn't going to just wing it. And so I found a plan, and I set up a tracking sheet for myself. I set up a exercise plan for myself. And then I did, to the best of my ability, I practiced to stick to that plan. I wasn't always perfect, but I understood the process. I'm not going to be always perfect. But what happens if you just keep going? You see results, and then it becomes a way of life. But we have to keep going. I'm sorry?
I know a phrase that I think, like, I want to paint a painting, or I want to wash the floor. There's so many want tos that I don't take action on. I've been looking at what executive function is, because I feel like somewhere between A and B, I'm stalling out, and I'm not sure why.
Yeah, but see, I totally don't go with that, because, I know people that are mentally severely challenged. They have learned how to do things, and they do them. It's not saying that they didn't have to practice more. They didn't have to be reminded more. They didn't, and in their cases, they have what we have, because I think that we need it, a checklist. We don't have what's in here, us right brain people. We're way more spontaneous, and we jump from one thing to another, and we're scattered. So instead of having that administrative part of the brain in our head, we have to have it in front of us. So have the plan. Have a plan. Make a decision. So that was one of the very first things that I said within this, before the Dunning-Kruger, is we all know that we need to know what it is that we need to do. We need to learn certain things that we need to do. We have to, the whole backpack thing, we have to take some of those things out of there, like deciding to walk into the other room instead of doing the dishes. Well, that has to leave your backpack. You have to make a decision. But we get into decision making later on too. So a lot of this stuff will all kind of come together. So, not going to all happen in day one. All right.
Well,
but I hope that did help.
It did help. But I will tell you one thing that's kind of funny. Without thinking, I went through here and I cleaned all the toilets this morning without thinking about it at all. And I do that 3 times a week, where I go through and clean the bathrooms and, clean all the chrome or mirrors.
That's something that has become a habit of yours, and now you do it without thinking of it. But if your bathroom was a mess and you cleaned it, and then a week later you didn't clean it, you'd be saying the same thing about the bathroom. as you're saying about the dishes. It just happens that you got to the point where the bathroom is what you want the dishes to be. You'll get there too.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I'm going to look at the chat right now, and if anybody else has a question, let me know. Okay, let's see. Deborah, yes, for some reason. All right, so the timer's done. So we've been together for an hour. So let me know what you got done. If you have any like things that have to be dispersed, like if you've been decluttering or cleaning a room or something, and there's things that have to go in another room, garbage has to get thrown out, do that now while we're wrapping up, okay? This way, when you're done, you don't have more of a mess than you started out with, all right? All right, so I'm gonna set the timer for 10 minutes, and we'll go as long as we need to until we sign out, okay? All right, let's see. Janine said, my intention cleaning up the kitchen from lunch. How'd you do? Are you sharing your screen? I can't see it. Oh, there, you did say it. Sorry, I didn't see that before. Jeanette said, I don't see the picture either. I don't know why before when I was trying to see it, I didn't see those comments. Barbara said, my intention is to do morning routine. I'm in California and decluttering the top of the dresser of my bedroom. Awesome. How'd you do? Janine said, nope, don't start over. I read that before. Janine, new intention, work on the current zone. Awesome. And good topics. I will be gone tomorrow. Catch you on the replay. Awesome. All right. And that was Jeanette. All right. So if there's not any more questions or comments, then I'll sign out. This recording will be up within 24 hours or before. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Okay. All right. Mwah. Bye.